what's going on, guys? 2015 F150. In this video, I'm going to go over something that I hope you guys never run into. I decided to make a video on it because it scared the shit out of me. You know, if you follow my channel, you know all the stuff I've done to this truck and how much I love it. And well, this just came across me, and I was kind of unfamiliar with what it all entails and how it affects the truck, and most importantly, how to fix it. So I've done a lot of stuff on this truck, all myself for the most part, and I've learned a lot about it, so I'm pretty familiar with it. And when this happened to me, I was pretty stumped. Never really messed with this kind of problem too much. So I'm going to give you a rundown of what happened, what the codes were, and how I fixed it. So let's get into it. 2015 F150, 3.5 ecoboost. You guys know that much though. So how it started was me, this rain died down a little bit here, hopefully. Casual driving, picked up my daughter from school, and shortly after that started idling rough. Okay, I said, man, this kind of feels different from a cylinder misfire. Cylinder misfire is pretty harsh, and this was just a rough idle for the most part. And then once you got past, you know, a grand 1200 or so, then it smoothed out and it was driving pretty normal. So that told me that it might not be a misfire. Idling rough, and I could smell the fuel. I could smell the fuel pretty strong in my truck, so I knew something was up. Pulled it in the garage. I checked the codes. It was a P0015, P0017, and I got those written down here, what they actually mean. 0015 is B camshaft position sensor timing over retarded bank 1, and P0017 is crankshaft position, camshaft position correlation bank 1 sensor B. So I didn't know what the hell that meant. I had to kind of do some Google research there. I've never gotten those codes before on my truck. I also had a P054B, which is cold start B camshaft position timing over retarded bank 1. So again, just idling rough. I cleared the codes, turned the truck off, let it set overnight, turned it back on, same thing, nothing was fixed. So I started hitting it hard because I got to go to work, and without a truck I can't go to work. It's got all my tools in it, so I need this thing as a daily driver. So I got to researching it, and of course it's always an Indian trail with something like this. If you're not familiar with it, I found a lot of stuff that really always came to a dead end with never a straight answer. First thing I wanted to find out was sensors. This said bank 1 sensor B, so I was trying to locate that, and we'll show you on the truck here. Get a little wet. So this is bank 1, cylinders 1, 2, 3, and bank 2, 4, 5, and 6, cylinders 4, 5, and 6. And this is these guys right here. As you can tell, that's a new sensor there. So this is sensor A for the camshaft intake, and sensor B for the exhaust side. So you got two cams in here, intake and exhaust. Those are the sensors. On this side, if you have bank 2, here's the valve cover right here. If you follow the valve cover back, I'm not going to remove that, but it's on the back. It's on the back side. On the other side over there, it's on top of the valve cover. Over here, it's behind. I think it might actually be on the block, but behind the valve cover, you'll find those. Those are a little bit harder to get. So it's not like the older ones where they're on the front. This is a 15, so that's where they're located at, and there's only 4. Verified that. So that was the big thing is when I went to AutoZone, they gave me a sensor that I thought was correct, but it ended up was not correct, of course. And that was a 2-pin cam position sensor. These are 3 pins, okay? So these are 3 pins and there's 4 of them. They're about 20-30 bucks. I don't know where that 2-pin, I think something tells me that was the crankshaft position sensor. It was a 2-pin, it was a little bit bigger, and that was 70 bucks. So these are about 20-30 bucks each. But after I got the sensor in, did not fix my problem. Okay, still running like shit. So now I'm kind of worried that this may be internal, something that I can't fix, or you know, something that I'm just not finding with all the information that I looked at, that I just it's not, you know, it's not apparent what to do here. So me being me and doing all this to my truck, you know, I had to dig deeper, because that's the last thing I'm going to do is take it to a damn dealership. You know, they've already screwed me kind of twice on small things on this truck, and I don't ever plan to take it back to them. So continuing the story, on my way home from AutoZone, unfortunately I said, let me swing by the dealer and see if I can pick the brain of a mechanic and see if he can at least let me know that these are the only 4 sensors, I'm not missing anything, and you know, what he thinks. So I did. I talked to the guy that was in charge, not a mechanic, and he you know, the customer service guy there, he seemed pretty experienced. I told him the codes. We sat down, we looked it up on his computer. He said right off the bat, cam phasers. And I said, truck's only got 70,000 miles, man. You know, what makes you think that it's that? He said, well, I got 3 trucks in here with the same symptoms, rough idle, and that's what it is, cam phasers. And I said, man, that is really unfortunate. With 70,000 miles and this thing hadn't been running tip-top its whole life, you're telling me that you're going to have to pull the front of my engine off. He said, yeah. I said, well, what's the, you know, what do we do here? Where do you start? I said, I replaced the sensor, it didn't fix it. He said, you can replace all kinds of sensors, you can do this, you can do that. He said, you're wasting your time. It's cam phasers or timing chain on these engines. He said, the 5 liters are really bad for it, and the EcoBoost engines, they're not too bad, but it happens in these motors. So that's kind of where we left off. I said, you know what, man, of course it's going to take a week to get in line, so I made a date. I set a date. I said, if I can't fix it, then I'll bring the truck to you guys and you can troubleshoot and do your thing. So I left there, stumbled home, pulled in, and the next thing I looked at is the VVT solenoid. You know, a lot of people say if you're having these codes, then it's start with a sensor, then go to the solenoid. It could be because your oil is dirty or lack of oil. Lack of oil could damage cam phasers. I just changed my oil like 5 days prior, so I knew the oil was good. That did cross my mind. I said, Mobil 1, if you screwed me, you know, I'm coming after you. But no, it wasn't Mobil 1. My oil was fine. My oil was clean. I do it about every 5,000 now that I'm at 70,000 miles. So I think after 50, I started doing every 5,000, just because it's, you know, these reasons right here. You want to keep everything inside these high performance turbo engines running good, you know, well oiled. So, well, I knew the oil was good. So I went to the solenoids here and I decided to troubleshoot. I even asked the guy at the dealership, I said, what about the solenoid? And he said, highly unlikely, not the solenoid. And everything I read online was kind of saying otherwise. So let me show you here what I did. This is the magic here. Got microphone all wet. Anyways, all right, so here are your solenoids right here in front. This is the exhaust and this is the intake here. Unfortunately for the 3.5 ecoboost, you have to remove the valve cover to get to them. Same on the other side there. The 2.7, I watched a video on those and they just unbolt right from the valve cover, so not sure why they're different on this motor, but it's not the end of the world. I said, hey, if I gotta pull my valve cover off and replace the solenoid, I think they're like 40-50 bucks. Not the end of the world, but this is the first thing you should do, and this is the most important part of the video and why I'm making a video on this. This is what I did. So I pulled this connector right here. This tab pulls up, then you squeeze the top and it pops out, and it's a 2-pin connector. You see 2 wires there. There's 2 little pins in there, and this is how you troubleshoot. I got my little 12-volt battery here that I pulled out of my daughter's Power Wheels, and I use this for little shit like this now. So I made this right here, little butt connectors. If you don't have one of those, get one of those. I made one of these, 2 of them actually, and these slide right over the pins. Now the important thing is when you're testing this, make sure that you don't touch the positive and negative, because it could damage that solenoid from what I read. So when you slide these over, it should be fine. Just be careful that you're not like jamming it in there, and make sure they're both, you know, over the terminal there, the little terminal pin, and you should be all right. So what I did is I got these and I touched them to my positive and negative rapidly about 15 times to verify that these solenoids are in fact working. You can hear it. It'll click, 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 click every time you touch the terminals. So that's how you verify these things are working. And that's what I did. I did it to both of them. I did it about 15 times. Pop, 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 pop. Heard it, and put the connector back in. Close the hood, and she fired up. And has been running great ever since. So that is the story here. And I made this video, so if you guys unfortunately come across this, you can at least start with this before you start tearing into your engine. That is where the sensor locations are. That's what I would start with, is troubleshoot your solenoid, troubleshoot your camshaft position sensors. Make sure those are good before you take to the dealership and they sell you on ripping the whole front of your engine off. So that's it. Hopefully this video helps clear some information up. Again, I made this video because I was about to kind of break down and cry, because you know how much time and money I put into this truck, and again, I just did not want it to go to the dealership's hands and have it molested there. So that's it. That's the end of the video. So they say make sure your oil is clean, and this should never happen. So I'm really kind of stumped on why it happened to me, because I'm good on my oil changes. I've got Mobil 1 filter most of the time. Yeah, I guess it was just something stuck in there, or it was just stuck. So me popping that a couple times freed whatever was in there, and it is working better than ever, just as good. So that's it. I hope this video helped, and if you guys got any more questions, hit me up. Thanks.